taking time out with PSOA. Sean Johnson here from Omaha, Nebraska. This training tape is made for officials, coaches, spectators, and league administrators for the Metro Youth Football League, MYFL. In this training video, we're going to go over the specific league rules, our continued education at timeout with PSOA, our PSOA officials feedback form for our observers to use, our coaches to use, site administrators to use, and if you're a spectator and you want to give us feedback on how the officials did, this form is open to everybody. Then we're going to go to the MYFL League website to show how to get to the league schedule, and then last, arbitersports.com and how we use it to communicate officials' assignments and officials' pay. With no further ado, let's get into the league rules. The first league rule that we are going to share is the rule that's highlighted here. It is mandatory that all head and assistant coaches wear attire befitting a youth football coach, having visible badge at all times on the sideline. The MYFL only allows 6 badged coaches per game. So officials, if you have more than 6 adults on the sideline coaching, you have to find the head coach and ask him which of the other 5 coaches are the coaches, and ask the head coach to have each of their coaches have their badges. All other adults, non-players, must be then asked to go to the stands throughout the remainder of the game. 6 coaches, all have badges, and then all players allowed in the team box area. The next rule set that we want to cover is equipment. There were a couple federation changes this year when it comes to equipment, and these are the points of emphasis from the previous years for all football, not just MYFL. So number 1 is eye shields had to be 100% clear. No tint, no shiny. If that helmet turns and the officials can't see the eyes, the officials are going to ask the players to take off that eye shield. However, in NFHS, a player can have tinted glasses. And the idea for this is we cannot take off the eye shield without moving the head or neck when we have an injury. We could always pull down glasses to see the player's eyes. Next one is mouthpieces. It must be visible, and they could only have one. So you can't have one dangling from the face mask and then one in your mouth. A player could only wear one mouthpiece. So officials, if you see a dangling mouthpiece, ask them to put it in. If they show you they have one in their mouth, they have to take off the dangling mouthpiece. The purpose of that is the mouthpiece is now part of the face mask when it comes to the face mask rule. So you don't want to allow a player to have a dangling mouthpiece, which would make it easier to grab and pull, which could lead to foul and head or neck injury. So that mouthpiece cannot be dangling from the helmet. Knee pads, they have to be worn and they have to be covering the whole entire knee. Yes, we see on TV players not covering the whole entire knee. Our players are not on television yet. So officials, when you see players and their pants only go to their knee, do not cover their knee, do not allow them to play. They must have a knee pad in. Pants and knee pad must cover the entire knee. We're going to talk about the clock management guidelines for the MYFL. Our goal as an officiating staff is to have these games played in their entirety within a 90-minute playing window. What's great about that is with the pace of play, with managing the clock, a player is not going to play too many snaps. We see through studies the more snaps players play, the more likely they're going to get injured. All right, so in the MYFL, we're going to play 10-minute quarters with an 8-minute halftime period. With that 8-minute halftime period, coaches, it is very important, especially when it's hot, they drink water first. I would discourage going to an end zone, stay in your team box area. That will save you time and allow you to have more time for your players to coach them. But drink water first. Second, with 2 minutes remaining, the officiating crew will let both coaches know 2 minutes, 1 minute remaining in halftime period. The officials are going to get into their positions and ask for the kicking team to come out, receiving team to come out. And with 0 seconds on the clock, we want all 22 players on the field, because once that third quarter, 10 minutes is up, we're going to blow that ball ready for play for kickoff. If the receiving team is out there, officials, and the kicking team is not out there, go ahead and start the 25-second play clock. As long as we communicate 2 minutes prior, 1 minute prior, we should have no issues getting the teams out for the second half start. Once the game gets started, outside the 2 minutes of the second quarter and fourth quarter, you as a fan, you as a coach, hey, we ran out of bounds. That was an incomplete pass. Why is the clock running? And the reason for that is if there is a rule that prescribes a clock to stop, such as out of bounds, incomplete pass, a change of possession, all right, penalties, when the ready for play, when the result of the play should have been the clock is stopped. Once the teams have had reasonable time to huddle, to organize, and get ready for the next play, officials are prescribed to start the clock. Again, this is from 10 minutes all the way through the first quarter, 10 minutes up until under 2 in the second quarter, 10 minutes all the way through the third quarter, and then 10 minutes up and through the 2-minute area of the fourth quarter. So, clock operators, it is very important. Yes, when an official stops the clock, go ahead and stop the clock. But when you see the referee, the one in the middle of the field with the white hat behind the offense, when they give the wind the clock signal, yes, they are telling you to start the clock after an out-of-bounds play, after an incomplete pass, after a change of possession, and after penalties, unless we're under 2 minutes in the second and fourth quarter. Once we're under 2 minutes of the second and fourth quarter, now it's regular timing rules. It will be those timing rules you see on Friday night with Federation high school football. The one exception about the clock running after a reasonable time to huddle is after a team calls a timeout. So if they call a timeout, first quarter, 7 minutes left, we are not going to start the game clock until the snap is made. Striper rules. We see the grid up here. We have striper rules for 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. If you're working 7th grade and 8th grade, there are no striper rules. So these are only 3rd grade through 6th grade. If you have a player that has a tape stripe around their helmet, this is their restrictions. Stripers on offense can consist of no more than 5 players on the field at one time. You can only have 5 players. So if you see 6, shut the game down and remove one of those players and communicate to the coach that there's 5 stripers out here. We could only have 5. Stripers must be on the line of scrimmage and do not need to be covered by a non-striped player. The importance here is they need to be on the line of scrimmage, so they cannot be linebacker, they cannot be a safety, a running back, a passer, or slot receiver off the line. Defensively, once again, only 5 players on the field at a time. They must be on the line of scrimmage, and on defense, they have to be in a 3 or 4 point stance. They cannot start in a 2 point stance like the offense can. So defensive stripers must be in a 3, so 1 hand on the ground, or 4, 2 hands on the ground, on the line of scrimmage, and only 5 at a time. The other thing is, as if they're a defensive end, they cannot be wider than the outside shoulder of the offensive tackle. They must have their body touching the offensive tackle's body when they're on the line of scrimmage as a striper. And the last one is the striper must charge. They can't drop back. They can't not rush the passer or get into the backfield. They could stay at the line of scrimmage, but they cannot drop back to be the second level defensive player. Special teams, stripers may not participate in either kickoff or kickoff returns. So to begin the game, there's a kickoff after score. There are no stripers that are allowed on the field. Again, officials, when you're counting 11 players, have this part of your routine. You see a striper out there, do not allow the play clock to begin, and get all teams legal just like we would if a team came out with 12 players or 10 players. The exception here is a team is playing with 13 players, so they don't have players available. If there is a striper that has to be on the field just to have 11 players, the other team has to be allowed to match up those stripers. So we have 2 stripers on the front line for the receiving team because that's all they have. The kicking team will then be able to line up 2 stripers, so it's 2-on-2 for even matchup. On punts, stripers can play during punts, no more than 5. They must start on the line of scrimmage, and on offense they could be in a 2, 3, or 4-point stance. And then on defense, they can have 5 on the line of scrimmage and must shade that tackle as well. If during a live ball a striper gets a fumble recovery, does get an interception, right? It becomes dead, and that team that has that striper has control of the ball. It will still result in the same part of that play. So if they get a fumble recovery on offense in the end zone, touchdown. Defensive striper gets a fumble recovery in the opponent's or in their own end zone, it's a safety. So no matter what the result of the play is, when a striper gets possession of the ball becomes dead. The ball will be placed at that exact spot. If it's in the end zone, it's going to be a touchback, safety, or touchdown. If it's in the field of play, it will be at that yard line. Mercy rule. There was some confusion last year on what is the mercy rule, and then what do coaches do and officials do once we reach it. The mercy rule is 25-point differential. When a game score differential is 25 points or more, all right, kickoff, kick return for both teams is removed. So number 1, we're in the mercy rule. We're over 25 points or more. There are no kickoffs. The losing team will get the ball at the 40-yard line going in. The winning team will get the ball at the 20-yard line going out. All right. So the idea is field position. The losing team has field position. They only have to go 40 yards to score. And if they punt, they're going to punt so the winning team has the long part of the field to score again. Winning team, if you do get it back, you have to go 80 yards to score. So the intention is to allow the game to stay as close as possible, to allow the losing team to keep their offense on there as long as possible. And if they can't stay on there, the team that's winning, it's harder for them to score because they're farther away from the goal line. They're given the advantage to the losing team to have not only closer to score, but also field position advantage as well, to keep it as close as we can in tough situations. If it gets under 25, now we go back to normal MYFL rules. There will be kickoffs, there will be kick returns, and the clock is going to stop on out of bounds, stop on incomplete passes, and after a reasonable time, start up once that team has a time to huddle and communicate. Defense, no blitzing when you are up by 25 points or more, and the clock will continue to run if it's second half, 25 points or more. Now we're going to get into sort of the grade specific rule changes. As we stated earlier, 8th grade and 7th grade, it's high school football. All right, minus the game management rules for the MYFL, the mercy rules for the MYFL. The players playing 7th grade and 8th grade are going to be playing high school federation rules. 6th grade, the rule difference is they are allowed stripers now, and that's 5 offense, 5 defense, and the restrictions of where they could line up, what they could do, and what happens if they get the ball becomes dead. 5th grade, we have the striper rule, we have the free punt rule. All right, so in 5th grade, it's 3rd down and 7, and they do not get the line to gain. They can choose to free punt, so they don't have to snap it and kick it. They will get 20 yards from that previous spot. However, it cannot put the ball inside the 20-yard line. So if they're at the 35, it would be a 15-yard punt to the 20-yard line and then going the other way. If they choose to kick a field goal or a point after attempt kick, defense cannot rush. They could stand at the line of scrimmage, jump up, make noise, but on a field goal attempt, whether it's for 3 points or 1 point, that defense cannot rush to block the field goal. There are free kicks and kick returns, and as so long as the mercy rule does not apply, blitzing is allowed throughout the entire game, except when the mercy rule applies, then the winning team cannot blitz. 4th grade, we have striper rules, no more than 5 on either team on the line of scrimmage. The free punt rule applies as well. 20-yard free punt, not within the 20-yard line. If the team does choose to punt, all right, the play will be live for both teams. So just because they have the option to free punt doesn't mean they have to. If they have a good kicker, let's let them get reps on punting the ball away and punt block and punt cover. Once again, no rushing on a place kick during field goals. They could jump, they could stream, they could distract, but they cannot charge the kicker. If they do choose a field goal and to really punt it, they cannot fake it. Since the defense can't charge to block a field goal, you can't fake a field goal. In this age group, there are no kickoffs, kick returns. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line, and normal play will begin 1st down and 10 at the 35-yard line. Coaches, you do get the choice of position of the ball. Left hash, right hash, middle, pro left, pro right. If the officiating crew is not told a specific spot to put it, the officials are going to put it right in the middle of the field at the 35-yard line. In 4th grade, no blitzing is allowed. All right, you have a 5-man defensive front max. All right, they must be in a 3 or 4 point stance. You could only rush those 5 front defensive linemen. In 4th grade, when we're in goal line situations, all right, so since we have a limit of 5-man defensive front, exception, if we're snapping at the 3-yard line, 2-yard line, 1-yard line, all right, non-lineman players may line up closer than the goal line if the ball is there. All right, so we have a 5-man front. We're in a goal line. We got jumbo package out there. They can have 6, 7, 8 inside that goal line to protect the goal line from a touchdown score. Officials, this is important. In 4th grade, they cannot line up head-to-head over the center and make contact with the center's head. When it's the A gaps must be used on that 5-man front. They are not allowed to charge straight into the snapper in 4th grade. And then with that being said, only one A gap. So you can't double team the snapper through both their A gaps. One gap can be used in the A gap, but not both. So this is going to be the umpire responsibility. Not over the snapper Can't be in both A gaps. It's still going to be a one-on-one block, but it can't be head up, and it cannot be two-on-one on that snapper. Third grade specific rules. We got the 5 stripers either team. All defensive must be a minimum of 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, minus the 5. Free punt rules apply, or they can physically punt it. They can go for field goals and point after attempts, and there is no rush, no fake field goals, no fake punts, no kickoffs, no blitzing allowed, minus when we're inside the 3-yard line. We cannot be head up on the snapper. We can only have 1 lineman in the A gap. You cannot double team the snapper. And 1 coach is allowed on the field during the game while the game is in progress. They must be 15 yards behind and towards their sideline outside the hash marks. The purpose of a coach being on the field for 3rd grade is to get the team play in, have them break the huddle, have them line up within that 40-second, 25-second play clock. It's organization, it's not coaching. All right, so officials, 3rd grade, 15 yards behind on their side of the field outside the hash mark. That's where they should go once they break the huddle and once they have everybody lined up. If you have coaches coaching after the snap, go ahead, use your warning. If they continue, all right, you now remove that coach off the field and they have to go to the sideline. All right, so coaches in 3rd grade, 1 per team, 15 yards back off to their side of the field, lining them up. Once that snap is made, if they're coaching, warn them, then they lose the right of being on the field for the remainder of the game. So those are the MYFL points of emphasis when it comes to clock management, points of emphasis when it comes to equipment, points of emphasis of what coaches can be on the sideline, what coaches can be on the field, and then each age group, 8th grade through 3rd grade, rule differences. Officials, you're going to be sent this every single week. If there are coaches, site administrators, fans who don't have access to this rule book, at the end of this, you'll have my contact information. I could send this to you at any time for you to view and review. As well, you could come back to this training tape. Now, since the MYFL plays with federation rules, we have a YouTube channel called Timeout with PSOA. And at this YouTube channel, we put up daily shorts, weekly training videos, and then as we get rules questions in, we go to our community page and we post rules questions. So if you want to get a better understanding of what are the rules, mechanics, philosophies, please utilize this YouTube channel. It is made not only for officials, but players, coaches, spectators, and administrators. So we'll give you an example of a short that we have here on free kicks. Okay, so we have free kicks on 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade, and 5th grade. Let's take a look at what is legal and illegal on free kicks.
A lot going on here. Number 1, we have free kick infraction as we have players beyond the 5-yard belt. Only 1 player can be beyond the 5-yard belt, and it's the player who kicks the ball. Next, the 1 player who was beyond the 5-yard free kick line did not kick the ball. Once this ball is kicked by an illegal player, the ball is dead. Third, this is an illegal pop-up kick, ball directly kicked into the ground, high into the air. Another reason to kill this play. And then all officials, any receiver could signal fair catch on a kickoff. If this was not a pop-up kick, but pooch kick, any receiver can give a valid fair catch signal. Once caught, ball is dead.
All right, so we have a free kick. Once again, everybody has to be within the 5-yard belt, so touching and inside with their foot. No foot could be outside that 5-yard belt. 1 player That one player is the one who has to kick the ball. So coaches, if you want to try to trick who's going to kick the ball, all 11 players have to be in the 5-yard belt. Pop-up kicks are illegal. All players have to be behind the ball before the ball is kicked. And in Federation rules, all of these fouls are dead ball fouls because we want to avoid that collision at the restraining lines if the kicking team is illegal. If you enjoy these shorts, just make sure you like them. That lets us know what's working, what's not working. And coaches, if you have a clip from your game that we could use to help educate, please send them to me, and we can make a short with that clip so everybody could learn from a situation. This is where our weekly training videos will be. You could even go back to last year training videos that we made. So this is week 0, college week 1, Federation week 1. Again, it's unlimited education for officials, coaches, players, spectators. And then this year, as teams have been practicing, our officials have been practicing. All right, so we had a line of scrimmage practice where we went over line of scrimmage mechanics, line of scrimmage fouls, sideline management. We had umpire practice. What is holding? What is legal formations? What is our pre-snap? How do we enforce penalties? We had a referee practice. How should we communicate when there's a foul? What's the penalty enforcement? Give the choices. What is roughing the passer, roughing the kicker? And then we had back judge practice, which we don't have in the MYFL. But if you want to learn about what back judges do, feel free to watch that practice. But the big one in that one for all coaches and officials on punts. In 7th grade and 8th grade, it's a live punt. All right, so our umpire becomes our back judge. So they have to learn what is kick-catch interference, what is a valid fair catch signal, how do we cover those punts with 3 or 4 officials, and that is in our back judge practice. The next thing I wanted to show is our football observation form. So it's a simple Google form. I have given access to MYFL League Director. Coaches, if you want this form emailed to you, I can email this form to you. That way you could always go back to it to give our football official observation form. I only ask, please report the good as well as the needs improvement. All right, so if I only get feedback from coaches and organizations when they lose, when the officials are bad, yes, I will review it. I'll take a look at it. I'll probably have a conversation with the official just to share the information. But it means a lot more when you win, when you lose, and if you do it each week, you have a lot more credibility, and I believe you a little bit more when you do it consistently. All right, so we're looking for, even if you don't know the official's name, all right, the main thing is if I have the site, the date, the location, the time, I could figure out what officials are working based on the schedule we have in Arbiter Sports. And then we're just looking for what was the football officials' professionalism? What was their effort and hustle? Rules knowledge, control of the game. All right, so now if you have poor on any of these, please give us the examples of why it is poor. All right, so if you just say, oh, these officials are terrible, but if you don't give us any information of why you feel that way, I can't then contact the official and say, all right, on this first down play, you were 20 yards behind the field walking behind the play. All right, so you could have missed the spot because you were walking instead of jogging or reading pass and moving downfield at the snap. So yes, this scale is good to get a barometer, but the most important part is the exact information of why you graded them so high or why you graded them so low, so then the education process and the reward process could be shared with credibility. MYFL League website, right? So we got myflomaha.org. And the main thing that officials are going to use this for is schedules. All right, so it's under Zort's schedule app. And then you want to do is search MYFL. And then it's going to come up. All right, it's not a tournament. Now we're going to search leagues, MYFL. All right, so a lot of times in Arbiter, officials know, hey, I got an 8th grade team, but what 2 8th grade teams? All right, and then you just go to the MYFL Tackle Football League. All right, so now we are at Zort's. We have schedule. We have standings. All right, so now officials can sort of prepare of what they are going to walk into on that date at that site, and it gets us an idea of what we're going to experience that day. Arbiter Sports. All right, so I've asked league administrators, anybody with a team, anybody with an organization, I can make you a contact at no cost. All right, so each week I send out the schedule for the league to the league administrators. So they have Omaha Westview High School. Jason Ford, Vince, Shane are going to be there Sunday, September 1st at noon. And then they also can get their email, their phone number by clicking on their name or looking at the PDF spreadsheet. I would encourage site supervisors, so it's not 3 phone calls to get to myself or to get to site administrator. If each site or each coach has access to this website, you at each site, at each age group, can go to Arbiter Sports and you can directly call that official. So instead of calling the league and then the league calling me and then me calling the official, be the boots on the ground, have direct access to this so you have officials' information. All right, again, you get the date, you get the time, you get the location, you get the level, you get the officials' assignments. I will give an example of a site director that already has access with the MYFL. All right, so I'm acting as Coach Smith with Omaha Westview Junior Wolverines. He logs in, he clicks on schedule, he could go to his 34 games and see all officials at Omaha Westview High School for his MYFL teams, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. Again, just click the 3 out of 3 and he gets the names. Click on the names, you get the information. All right, so this is very useful tool, and I encourage all organizations who are hosting games to want to have one, if not multiple, site contact, coach contacts, so they have access to this information throughout the season. Again, it's efficient communication, making one phone call to officials rather than to the league, league to me to the official. So we covered a lot of information in this training video, and the last thing I want to touch base with is my contact information. So whether it's a schedule change, whether it's a league rule interpretation, whether it's an NFHS, you want access to Arbiter Sports, you want the football official observation form, please email me, st_rita1920@yahoo.com. You could also go to our website, premiersportsofficials.com, contact us. Once you fill out that form, it's going to come to me as well. If it's an emergent situation, you need to access me right now, please use my cell phone, 402-319-8413. If I don't answer text, I will get back to you as fast as I possibly can. On weekends, I may be officiating, I may be coaching football, I may be coaching baseball, but if I'm able to answer, I will. If you leave a text, I will reply to that text as fast as I can. That's why it is important to me, if it's an official's late or there's an officiating question, if you go to arbitersports.com and have access to that, that usually resolves most of it. If it's a play rule situation, we can't protest judgment calls. We can't protest NFHS. All right, that's the use of that observation form. So if a mistake is made, we as a staff don't continue making the same mistake. So please reach out to me anytime. Email first, phone call second, text message third. And coaches, thank you for coaching in the MYFL. Site administrators, it's a thankless job. Thank you for organizing your teams and organizations. And officials, thank you for servicing the MYFL as a sports official to teach the game of football and to keep the game safe and enjoyable for everybody involved. Please continue to visit us at our YouTube channel, Time Out with PSOA. Have a great season to all involved in the league.